Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you know anyone who thinks the world revolves around them? They actually believe the purpose of all that God has created is to make and to keep them happy. Our society constantly tells us that life is about us, about what we want, and about what we deserve as individuals. It does not matter who we are. It is hard to escape this message. Facebook and Instagram makes it even easier for us to let the world know it's all about me. If I want it, I should get it. If I don't want it, if I don't want to do it, I shouldn't have to. If I say I need it, somebody should go and get it for me.
Amen.
If I got it, it's mine to do with as I please. It is hard for us to escape this reality from creeping into our spiritual lives and into the lives of the church. We have to ask ourselves, how much of my walk with the Lord is all about me and of me being in control of what I have? Today is our Pledge Sunday, which probably accounts for our low attendance. What we are doing is deciding how much of my resources are going to be all about me. Before we can fill out the sheet, we have to answer, how much do I actually owe myself? Do you know why Jesus tells us to love one another? Because the default position is that we don't and we won't. The biggest deception we accept as true is that I love everybody in the church. All we mean is that we are not going to intentionally harm anyone in the church. But if I brought one of the neighbors' outside cats to church, as long as you don't bother it, it will not do anything to bother you. Now, do you therefore think that the cat would be right in boasting, I love everybody in the church? Love is not doing anything bad. It is intentionally doing something good. The only problem with love is that it always costs you something. And usually it's going to cost you some money. Money that's supposed to be our money. We have 3 debts that we never stop paying until we die. These are the debts that we will give an account to before God. The first is what I owe me. And the second, what I owe you. And the third is what I owe God. If we're going to be balanced and blessed in our spiritual and financial lives, we have to settle how we're going to pay these 3 debts. Today, we're going to look at what might be the toughest of the 3 to deal with, and that is the battle. That is going to take place between you, your money, and God. Our sermon title is, Should It Really Be All About Me? It begins with you deciding what I owe me. Say that with me. What I owe me. Come on now. What I owe me. Thank you. Not knowing the answer to this single question can ruin your credit, destroy your marriage, send you to the end of the poverty line, and prevent you from growing in God. When it came to giving, what economic class do you think Jesus was when he was on this earth? Top 15% or bottom 85%?
Bottom 85.
Where do you think you rank?
I'd rather not say.
The funny thing is that when it comes to giving, the top 15% of the rich people, most of them think that their biggest problem is that they need more money. They've not been able to settle the issue of what I owe me. Now, can you imagine having that much and still wanting more? If God were to move you to the top 15% of the richest people in the world today, how many of you believe you would be willing to tithe and maybe even give a little extra above tithing? I hope so. What if God moved you into the top 5% of the richest people in the world? Then could you do it? Let me just tell you how much you need in order to be in the top 20% of the world's richest people. You need a yearly salary of $1,500. Top 15%, You need food, shelter in a house or an apartment, and a car or reliable transportation. Top 15% richest people in the world. To be in the top 5%, you need to have some money in the bank, own a house, have a wardrobe of clothes, and 2 cars of any kind that run. How many of us are far richer compared to the rest of the world than we had thought we were? When you think of the word greed, what comes to your mind? A rich oil executive? A kid that won't share his cookies? Somebody with too much food at the buffet table? Some of you have heard of the word tithe. Now, tithe is nothing more than giving 1 penny and keeping 9 for yourself. It never goes up. It never goes down. Jesus told the Pharisees, who gave 1/10 of everything they got, these things you should have done, along with showing love and mercy to others. For some of us, as long as we have very little, we find it very easy to tithe. It only becomes a problem when we start to have a lot of pennies. At what level does greed start to force you to hold on to your pennies? Do you know God has a purpose for tithing that is really all about you? It really is all about me. Tithing is a spiritual discipline that will do things to you. It changes your heart to love God. It changes your heart to love others. And it changes your heart to learn commitment. Tithing actually puts you in the place for God to pour unexpected blessings into your life. God gives you the desires of your heart that you could not get on your own. There are basically 3 reasons that people who want to follow God do not tithe. They are: 1, they don't make enough money. 2, the church does not need my money. And 3, the Bible says, give what's in your heart. Of all the sins that come from our hearts, very few of us think that greed is a problem. In our society, greed is acceptable because it comes in so many disguises. We're not greedy, we're savers. We're not greedy, we're fashionable. We're not greedy, we're good planners. We're not greedy, we're prepared. We're not greedy, we deserve this. We're not greedy, we're keeping up to date. We're not greedy, we're successful. Let me define greed. Greed is when I have enough for my needs, but I want more for my own personal use. In America, there's a whole industry bent on redefining what it is that we need. How many of you remember when you had just one television set in your home? Today in my home, there are 4 large flat screens in various rooms in a home where there is an average of 1 or 2 people in the house. We keep telling ourselves that we need these TVs just in case guests come in from out of town. Isn't the real issue that we have not decided how many TVs we owe ourselves? Inside of me, there's a piece of pride that wants to impress others with, look what I can provide. Apple constantly tells us this new phone is going to be the greatest phone ever. Yet we know in another year they'll be telling us, you really need to upgrade to that new phone that we've got now. Now, the phone we have is a perfectly good, working phone. But pride and greed tell us, forget about being behind in your giving. You've got to have that phone. Even if you're current in your giving, you may still be able to put that money to better use. One Christmas, instead of upgrading the phone, I decided to use that same $500 that I'd have used to upgrade and instead donate it to my favorite charities like the Red Cross, ASPCA. And I even sponsor an orangutan halfway across the world named Ganung. Every year I reevaluate what I owe me and continue the tradition of charitable donations. What is your area of greed in which you tell yourself, I deserve this, and that I have got to have it? We say, I don't have a thing to wear, when what we mean is, I don't have something brand new to wear that will impress others, or I don't have something with the right label on it to wear. We think if we just made just a little more money, we could finally be happy with what we have. Greed will no longer be an issue for us, and then Jesus comes along and messes with our minds by saying that we have to, the true way to handle greed is to have less and learn to be content. You know, it would really be a lot easier to be a Christian if it were not for Jesus. How much do I owe me to be paid in full? How many computers do I need? How many outfits? How many cars? How much money in the bank? How many pairs of shoes? How much stock? How nice of a neighborhood? How many bedrooms? How many acres? How much food? How many vacations? How many dresses, outfits, or suits? How much jewelry? How many rings? How many tattoos? How many iPhones? How many upgrades? There's nothing wrong with any of these things in themselves, but how much do you owe yourself with them? Whatever amount we define is going to determine what will be left for others and for God. We often like to think that God is on the top of our list for our possessions, but if we're honest, our greed places God at the end of the line when it comes to money. Andy Stanley wrote, "People with greed lodged in their heart fear that God either can't or won't take care of them." More to the point, they're afraid that God won't take care of them in the fashion or style in which they want to be cared for. And the gap between that they suspect God might be willing to do and what they want becomes a major source of anxiety. Greedy people that carry the burden of getting and maintaining everything they need to provide the sense of security they desire. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." You notice that Jesus used the words all kinds of greed. All kinds means that there is more than just one type of greed. We can be greedy with our possessions, our money, our family, our children, our lifestyle and our time, our home, and a ton of other things. Jesus then began telling a story. He said, "The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop." First of all, do you see where this increase came from? It came from the ground, which means it came from God and the things that God had provided. And when the rich man saw his abundance, he thought to himself, "Well, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Now, this is the same thing as the person who got a raise, got a bonus, got a promotion, received an inheritance, or won some amount of money. It was an unexpected blessing in his life. There was nothing wrong with the rich man's question, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." We all ask that question in one way or another at various times in our lives. What shall I do? There's no room left in my garage to store anything else. My closets and my drawers are all filled to capacity with clothes. I can't put another thing in the attic or in the basement for storage. This freezer will not hold any more food, but I just got this new whatever. What am I going to do? Did it ever occur to you that an unexpected blessing in your life might just be a test from God to see if He could bless you with more? Remember, Jesus said that one who is faithful with little will also be faithful in much, but the one who is unfaithful in little will also be unfaithful in much. If we feel I owe myself all of this little, what makes us think we won't feel I owe myself all of this huge amount? Understand that everything that God sends through your hands is not for you to keep. God often wants to use us as vessels that with He can pass things through to others. The rich man came to the conclusion the most logical thing to do here is to tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all of my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, "You have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." After all, isn't it the goal and the dream of American society today? Store up as much wealth as you can so that in your retirement you can take life easy. Eat, drink, and go to Florida for the winters, or better yet, move to Florida altogether. If you had asked this guy if he was being greedy, he would have said, "Of course not. This is a sound business investment strategy." He was searching for security in his life. He had thought that he had enough, but that was before he had the chance to get some more. Jesus told the story to a group of people who lived from day to day. The average poor person in Jesus' day didn't know where his next meal was coming from. Although the rich man was able to financially reach the American dream early in life, God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? Do you realize that we never fully own anything? Everything we get is on a lease. Nothing we have is going to last forever. So even when we pay for it, we're only paying to get us use for a use. We're only paying to use it for a certain amount of time until we sell, trade, give it away, or it falls to pieces. We never own anything. Even if they put it in the coffin and grave with our bodies, we still can't take it with us into the life that is to come. Naked we came into this world, and naked we go out. Now we know that we can't take anything with us into the next life, but it is possible to send some of it ahead and have it waiting for us. But the only way to do that is to overcome the issue of greed. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 through 21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where do we want our hearts to be? In things or in God? We put things into heaven by fully and completely giving away things here on earth. But we will not give until we satisfy the question of, what do I owe me? There's no single answer to this question because our greed affects some of us in different ways. And as I said before, Jesus said there are many kinds of greed. The problem of the rich man in the story was not his wealth, but his selfishness. How many of us are praying that God will bless us with more so that we can be more selfish once we get it? I don't know how many people God has taken from no income to a decent job who then turn around and still choose not to tithe. What they feel they owe themselves is far greater than what God expected them to take. What do you think of the kid who has 10 cookies, who's told to share his cookies with the little boy who has none, and the kid with 10 cookies breaks one of his cookies in half to give to the little fellow with none? Jesus wants us to get back what our real needs in life are. He tells us that life does not consist of an abundance of possessions. Then he tells us something that we really do not want to hear in Luke chapter 12, verse 32 and 34 through 34. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourself that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There Jesus goes with that heart stuff again. Now Jesus is not saying to go out and sell all that you have. He's saying each of us needs to learn how to trust God and be content. He's challenging us to be a blessing to those who really have needs. Before we add another this or another that, why not give one that we already have away, because it becomes useless or stolen? There's a value in knowing how much I owe me to be paid in full. It means we will get out of credit card debt a lot sooner. We can be honest and say, I've paid myself in full already, and I do not need to buy that. We can quit wasting our money trying to get rich quick. The Bible tells us whoever loves money will never have enough. Not only that, we fall into pits and schemes that destroy our lives. The love of money keeps you from becoming a new you. We can quit killing ourselves trying to work 2 jobs in order to try and live at a level that we cannot afford to live on. Maybe it's not God's will yet for you to have that kind of a house, or that kind of a car, or that kind of a phone. I say yet because there are times when the Lord gives you the desire of your heart without giving you unnecessary stress and strain in your life to get it. Jesus needs to work in your heart concerning your possessions in order for you to experience the true power of his death and resurrection. He not only died for your sins, he died to give you life. A life in this world and the next. So ask yourself again, what do I owe me? What do I owe you? And what do I owe God? And if you can answer these questions with true honesty, then you can fill out the pledge form included in your program today more accurately before you place that form in the collection plate. What do I owe me? What do I owe you? What do I owe God? Amen. Announcements. So, compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. And, sometimes I kind of go over this one a little too quickly, and I think it's important that I make it very well known that this is an important email address to have, feedback@dallasulc.com. This is for anybody here. It's also for you out there in cyber world, out in podcast land and YouTube land, and all of you out there listening. If you have any compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints, please feel free to email us, feedback@dallasulc.com. We are always, always, always in the need for more volunteers here at the church. There is always more work to be done, and we could use your help. And we'd like to have you in church too. So if you haven't been to church here, come on by, check us out, see what we're about, and hopefully we can make a volunteer out of you as well. For those of you who are members of this church and do come, however sporadically you do come, we need your volunteer time as well. Please help us out. Hey, did you know we had a podcast? I can't believe we have a podcast. It's amazing to me. We do. We have a podcast. You can find our podcast by simply going to Your Path with Bishop Mark. Your Path with Bishop Mark. Just search that in your search engine. You'll find us. I talk about the podcast all the time. You get it. It's a podcast. It's us doing what we do here, and hopefully it's doing something to you so that you can do what you do. That's our whole point here, is to help you and to help us and to help everybody stay on their path and just go where God wants us to go, do what he wants us to do, and be who he wants us to be.
It's definitely worth a listen.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. And now you can find us on TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker, Overcast, and of course Stitcher. Those are the ones that, I'm sure there's more of them out there that have us listed, but these are the ones that we do know of that have us syndicated on their sites. So you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. It's Your Path with Bishop Mark, any of those sites, or simply do it in the search engine. You'll find us. Okay. Now, as you know, the part that I hate the most, we are a church of volunteers. I do not take a salary. Nobody here that volunteers at this church takes a salary. We got to donate all of our time and our abilities, and we're going to ask you to do the same if you're getting anything out of this service today, whether here at the church or off in Cyberland. Today was Pledge Sunday, and I think that has something to do with our low attendance today, actually. But today we were to pledge what we want to tithe for the rest of the year. And it's kind of a promise to yourself and to God more than it is a promise to the church. So we will try again when we have some more people here, and hopefully we can get everybody to sign the pledge cards and stick to it. But in the meantime, we need your help. We need you to help us with donations. All of our donations are we are 501c3. So, which means that all of your donations to us are tax deductible. So, give freely if you can. You can donate for our podcast listeners, or anybody really, anchor.fm/bishopmark/support. Okay. You could also go to our website, dallasulc.com. There is a giving page there. And also, if you shop on Amazon quite a bit, you can, instead of just going to amazon.com and doing your shopping, take the time and type in smile.amazon.com. Choose Dallas Universal Life Church as your benefactor, and we will receive a nice little gift every time you buy something that costs you nothing. Amazon gives us a portion of the sales, which I believe is half a cent for every $100 or something like that. Or for every dollar. It's half a cent for every dollar, I believe is what it is. I think that's right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's something, and it helps us out. Even if it's, just to buy 1 hour of light for the church. I mean, anything right now helps. So we do need you to help us in donating, and if you can. Okay. Pray at DallasULC.com. Pray at DallasULC.com. This is for prayer requests. We pray every day here at Dallas Universal Life Church. You can choose to remain anonymous or leave your name with us. You can ask that we pray for you during the week, or you could ask that your prayers be added to our prayers of intercessions, which are said on Sundays and said by the entire congregation. Also, you can have a service dedicated to a loved one who has passed on or is still here. I very much so recommend the latter as well as the first, but the latter it's really important and it's kind of cool to have the person still here to kind of see their face and see. It's an honor to have a service said, a mass said in your name. And you can do all of that just by sending us an email, pray@DallasULC.com. On the service, all you have to do, all we ask of you is that you donate a nominal fee to the church to help cover the cost of the service. Today, we dedicated our service to my grandfather, who, had he still been walking this earth, would be 94 years old tomorrow.
This moment, only in my dreams, you're missing, but you're always a heartbeat from me. Now without you, I don't know where you are. I keep watching, I keep hoping, but time keeps us apart. Is there a way I can find you? Is there a sign I should know? Is there a road I could follow to bring you back home? Winter lies before me, now you're so far away. In the darkness of my dreaming, the light of you will stay. If I could be close beside you, if I could be where you are, if I could reach out and touch you and bring you back home, is there a way I can find you? Is there a sign
His wife, my grandmother, is still here. He died in 1998, so it's been quite a while now. Is that 11 years? Is that right? Wait, no, it's longer than that. It's 98, 2008, 2018. That's 21 years. 21 years he's been gone. Wow. Anyway, my grandmother is still living. She's 92 years old. She does have end-stage Alzheimer's. But my grandfather was a wonderful man, and he was very much a family man. In fact, every year for his birthday about this time, we, as a family, would have gone to Galveston and spent time together there. He was very big on the cohesiveness and the love of a family, and he held it together. And that's very much missed today. As I said, my grandmother has end-stage Alzheimer's now. And that brings us to our next announcement. And there's going to be some music with this one, I think. I'll turn it down a little bit. See if I can figure this one out. So last week it was just a closer walk with thee. We're just going to listen to it for a second. I kind of like you too anyway. Get to the punchline here, or the line here. I think everybody else out there probably knows what's coming. Tim, you know what's coming? You know what the song is? You don't know it, do you? You'll get it in a minute. Boy tries hard to be a man. His father takes him by his hand. He starts to think, he starts to cry. Here it comes. Walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away. Walk, 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 walk. All right. That's far-fetched. Okay, we had to wait long for that one. I'm sorry. All right, Saturday, October the 5th, 2019 is the Walk to End Alzheimer's here in Dallas. This will be our fourth or fifth year. I can't remember now. It's either our fourth or our fifth year this year. I believe it's our fifth. To walk in the Walk for Alzheimer's. Now look, if you haven't signed up, I ask you to sign up. If you're out there in Cyberland, you want to sign up and join us, send me an email, revmark, REVMARK, at DallasULC.com, REVMARK at DallasULC.com. But look, guys, those of you who have signed up, whether you're here or not today, you need to start fundraising, because that's one thing we have been missing out on every year is we always go, and that's great. We need to raise some money for this thing. I mean, I'd love to see y'all all in the Champions Club. So please ask people a couple bucks. You know, let them know what you're doing. Most people will, if they find out what you're doing, they'll be happy to donate to it. This disease affects so many people. And October the 5th is right around the corner, folks. It's already, what, August? Today is August the 4th. September. October. There it is. All right. That's going to do it, I think, for our announcements.